So Hollywood keeps calling it representation, but I'm looking at these casting calls and thinking to myself, are we sure this isn't just Blackface the sequel, the black friendly version, the blackening? Don't get me wrong, I want to start off saying I'm not coming for the actors specifically. If Hollywood calls Papa Isedu and says, hey, do you want to be the face of a multi-billion-dollar franchise? He's not going to say, actually, I have some concerns regarding the social political implications of race swapping established IPs. Probably not. He's going to say, where's my cape and does it come in silk? I can respect the hustle to a certain degree, but the system to me is moving kind of weird. It feels like a producer sat in a boardroom and said, look, we could hire black writers to create original, legendary black icons with deep background stories and cultural relevance, or, and this is the good part, we'll take this iconic white character, make them black, and create a firestorm of marketing brilliance. That's what it feels like to me anyways. Like I just learned about this one the other day. They're out here casting a black Anna Boleyn, which if you didn't know, this is from 2021, a Channel 5 miniseries where they took the Queen of England from 1533 to 1536 and turned her into a black woman. This makes no sense to me. Now, I don't know if this was a fantasy world version and they just used her name, but this feels a little bit too much. When it comes to fiction, I'm a little bit more malleable. As long as the story has nothing to do with race, it doesn't affect the actual overall story in any real particular way, I'm pretty good. But when it's real people from the past, historical figures, this ain't no gray zone. This is just Blackface the sequel as far as I'm concerned. On the surface, it looks like progress. But if you look closer, it's like Hollywood is the roommate who keeps stealing your clothes, but then tries to act like they're doing you a favor. Now, a lot of people will call this race swapping epidemic lazy writing. I don't actually agree with that fully. The race swap to me isn't the lazy part. It's the lack of building that is done around that character to give them depth and complexity, to make them fit into the world and let the people with them fit into their world. It's like the ultimate I'm not touching you game. They give us the role, but they don't give us the culture. They give us the costumes, but it's still tailored for someone else's body. Think of it like a hand-me-down from an older brother who was completely different weight and height than you. It might technically fit, but you look a little crazy in the photos, my man. Which makes sense, these are white stories. But if you tailor it a little bit better, you might have a pretty good outcome. But unfortunately, things in Hollywood aren't that way. And it seems that they have a new formula and they're willing to run with it. Step 1, find a beloved white character. Step 2, change the skin tone, slather on Photoshop the chestnut. Step 3, pat yourself on the back for solving racism, you wonderful, crazy bastard, you. Step 4, watch the internet fight for 3 months. Step 5, see if we made any money this time. Now, before I go on, let's rewind a bit because to understand why I feel weird about this and why I call it Blackface the sequel, you have to understand what Blackface actually was. Real quick, okay? People think blackface was just a bad makeup choice or like a self-tanning accident gone wrong, like your Ross from Friends. No, it wasn't just white actors painting their skin darker. It was Hollywood saying, we want your vibe, your rhythm, and your aesthetic, but we want to filter it through the lens that makes us feel safe and superior. It was about control. Control over how black people were seen, control over the stories, control over the image, which gives you control over the narrative. Black characters were exaggerated, mocked, reduced to stereotypes with no counter-narrative to balance it out. So the issue was never just the paint or the skin color or whatever. It was who got to tell the story. Now fast forward to today, nobody's putting on makeup like that anymore because, yeah, your career is probably donezo if you try to do that. But instead, Hollywood, because they're not my former world leader, Justin Trudeau, they can't get away with blackface like he can. So they do something a little smoother. They take an existing character built inside a very specific cultural world and just swap out the race. But if you really think about it, a lot of these characters, they aren't built from a black perspective to begin with. They come from a European folklore, British boarding school culture, Greek mythology. So now you've got black actors stepping into white roles that were never designed for them in mind. So now we've got black people acting as white people to make the audience more comfortable. So who's in control of the narrative again? Now, these can be fixed. You can make adjustments. You can do things here. And again, if the race doesn't really play into it, maybe you can massage it with good writing and sort of even mask it. If you have good writing, you can actually get away with a frick ton. Now we have yet to see Snape in action. So, they could pull this off with good writing. Fingers crossed, though. So again, no hate to the actors, okay? If I'm Gatwa playing the new Doctor, handed the keys to a global franchise, I'm not sitting there like, philosophically, is this problematic? No, taking the chance to get my name out there, show that I can lead a large franchise, and getting my bag is prime on my mind. But at the same time, you can't ignore how convenient this is for studios, because instead of building something new, they just repaint something old. The paint itself isn't lazy, at least not to me, but doing nothing else and thinking that that alone will carry you is the lazy part. Now, they don't need to make Snape more black. That isn't really what I'm saying, or Helen of Troy, quote unquote, more black. But because they don't do that, it's Blackface the Sequel to me. But the fact that they don't consider that when even constructing the new narrative, would a black person fit here? Why and why not? That's the lazy part for me. Here is where it kind of gets a little tricky because both sides, I think, have a point, to be honest. The one side, race swapping opens doors to big roles that otherwise aren't available because they don't want to take the risk with new original black stories. Fine, whatever. It puts black faces in major franchises and it normalizes diversity to a global audience. Well, at least that would be the aim. And that does matter. But the other side, it does feel like leftovers. Like instead of cooking a new meal, Hollywood just hands you a plate and said, here, we added seasoning this time. And sometimes it completely ignores cultural context from both sides. From all sides. Because let's be real, Helen of Troy being black, from a creative perspective, you can do whatever you want with a story, warp it how you feel if you're the one with creative freedom and direction. I'm a big advocate for that myself, to be honest. Let the artist be the artist, do artistic stuff. But also, if you're a known success, I'm also a little bit more open to what you will do. You know, Christopher Nolan, of course, he is a success, so I'm willing to sit back and see what comes. But there will be questions. Whether you choose to answer them or not is up to you. But there will be questions. Because now you're stuck in this weird middle space where it's not wrong, but it doesn't feel fully right either. So let's land this plane right here. Is race swapping blackface? No, it's not technically. I don't want to be dramatic now. But realistically, it can start to feel like a modern shortcut to the same problem. Because at the core, the question never changed. Who controls the story? If black representation only shows up inside recycled, pre-existing worlds built for white people, then who is that really for? The audience? Or the studios trying to check a box? It's the people in the background, the ones who say, look how diverse we are, without taking a risk of funding something original. And that's why creators like Jordan Peele and Ryan Coogler hit differently. Because they're not repainting old stories, they're building new ones from scratch, from black lenses. And that's the real conversation. They're fresh, they're artistic, they're authentic. So not should black people be in these roles, but instead, why do we keep getting invited into stories instead of owning them? But that's how I see it. You know, let me know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm reaching. You tell me. Am I reaching? Or is there actually something going on here? And that's it for the video. If you enjoyed, you'll love the next one coming up. But until then, like, comment, and share this out.